We are back, episode 31, the Eric and Tony Show, with the one and only Eric and the one and only Tony.
Only one of me.
Only
and then
one.
the kid that I named after myself.
So today we want to talk about what?
Talk about a lot of shit. Talk about kid shit, dog shit, bullshit.
Bullshit.
All the shits.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I started my day off at 5:30 this morning because my kid's get a little under the weather. So his stomach, it was a shitty situation. There's shit all over the place. And I was like, that's not how you want to wake up at 5:30. But I tell you one thing, like alarm clocks and all that stuff, they can like wake you up. That I admittedly, I was like, oh, like he's like, Dada, my diaper. He sleeps in an overnight diaper still. He's potty trained, but like for safety and reasons like this, put him in a diaper. Still did not like, solve the problem of like being a mess and stuff. And yeah, just woke up. I'm like, okay, so like right away, just like get him cleaned. We're taking showers. We're stripping sheets. And this is all like 5:30 in the morning. Like that's like exactly like been wide awake since then and dying to take a nap. Yeah,
that happens. I mean, I don't have a kid, but I have a dog, and my dog will shit in the bed sometimes because he's an old dog. He's 18 years old. He's a miniature dachshund, and he also wears a diaper when he goes to sleep.
He's 1,000 years old. He wears a diaper.
Sometimes
no longer has a bladder.
Yeah, in the morning, like 4 a.m, it's always like that.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, at least you're not rolling around in it, because I'll be like, man, what is that? Like clay? Is there clay in the bed? And I'm like, oh,
it's funny because you actually still have like dreams, so I can only imagine what kind of gross, vivid dreams you have. Like, I'm in a warm oasis, ooh, like in a natural like spring, rubbing clay on myself, and yeah.
I've like woken up with like just shit like all over my feet and being like, oh my God, like having to like take all the bedspread off, go in the shower, then take him in the shower, like that, like a whole thing, like an hour process.
Oh, yeah. I've had that with Ace before, but like he's shit on my rug and my couch.
Oh, rug is like a daily thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, I bought a fucking carpet cleaner because of that. Shout out to Bissell.
Shout out to Bissell. Not a sponsor yet.
Soon to be sponsored, maybe. Great review. Like, I love the product. It's like the little, I was like, dude, it's funny because with like, I was like checking reviews on stuff, trying to price match the best things. And then I was just like, it's pretty much across the board, the same price anywhere you go. But I just picked one up from Target, and then like I was waiting to get into using it. And then like there was an accident on my couch. I cleaned it up with like a real, the old school, spray bottle and, washcloths, brush, all that crap. But I bought this thing. I'm like, let me fucking just do a deep cleaning on like my couch. Just like all my furniture I just bought, spruced up a little bit. And I cleaned everything last night. And this morning, Anthony has this like blowout in my bed. I'm like, thank God it wasn't on the couch or the rug or anything that I cleaned last night, because I don't want to do it again. However, the product seems to work really good. But I'm like, I'm not trying to get in the habit of like a daily cleaning of like
daily
my furniture
deep clean
and stuff.
of your furniture. Yeah.
What's the cost of having a kid and a dog, man? But
yeah, it's I'm never angry. I'm just like, I just know I'm like, all right, there, I got an hour of whatever part of the day that is just going to be devoted to like cleaning up shit. And you're just
which is part of like, the territory of having like a kid or a dog and stuff like that. And that's like, again, there's like the two schools of parenting there, where there's like some people like their dog takes a shit on the rug and like, what the fuck did you do? Like rubbing their face in it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like that's like it. Yeah. It's
dude, speaking of dogs, I had a crazy dog story that I heard today at work. And so this kid that I work with, his grandparents have a German Shepherd, and it had like puppies. It had like 7 puppies, and his grandparents, he said, they don't like the dog. They're like, they don't like dogs, but they have it as like a guard dog, and it's an outside dog. So right away I was like, I'm like, that's not how dogs, like for me, I would never just leave my dog outside, or like
it's a guard kid. He doesn't come inside. He just stays out in the yard. Like,
just keep him on the yard and like
what's he whining? What's he barking for again? Just fill his bowl up again.
Yeah.
Get back out there, kid.
So he was like, tell me about these puppies that this dog had. And he's like, yeah, but like, all of them died except like one. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that's crazy. Like, how'd they all die? And he's like, well, like they didn't like really do anything. Like they're like, oh yeah, they're animals. They know how to like take care of themselves, like they're whatever. And I'm like, not necessarily.
Did they just put the same amount of food out for the regular dog?
No. So like, I'm like, so how did they die? He's like, well, like the dog like slept on like 2 or 3 of them and killed them. And then like I think like another 3 like died because it was cold out and they like froze to death. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Whoa.
And then he's like, I'm like, what did you do? Did you like bury them? And he's like, no, my grandparents were like, yeah, throw them in the trash. Like,
Oh my God.
I'm like, what in the fuck, dude?
Wow.
I'm like, that is horrible. I'm like, your grandparents are like fucking horrible people. Like, this is fucking like absolute worst story.
Well, that is very on like point for grandparents too. Because my grandmother, granted, this is also, she's been dead for like 20 years. She was born in like 1918, so a little different generation. However, she had a bunch of cats, like feral cats, living under the patio, and they had kittens and stuff, and they were like meowing all the time, and was waking her up and stuff. And then like she like kind of spilled the beans on my mom that she like got a bucket of water and like drowned all the kittens, like fucking just like murdered them. Like just kept them down until like one by one, and like had a pile of dead kittens. Like the basket just bucket
what?
dead.
That's fucking so nuts, dude.
It is insane. This is also the same lady that like lived on a farm, and they would cook a chicken. They would just swing around until its head popped off.
Yeah.
And that's like, you're desensitized at that point.
My grandfather ate a dog once. He told me this story. So this was in World War II in Germany, and
Germans also eat dogs apparently.
all sorts of weird shit. There was it was like during the war, so there wasn't any food. Like there was like everything was bombed, so like you couldn't
bunch of dogs.
you couldn't get anything. So one day he like comes home and his neighbors were like, "Hey, we want to invite your family over, and we're having like a food. We have food." And they're like, "Okay." So they go over and they're like all eating and stuff. And then my grandpa's like, "Where's your dog?" And they're like, "Well." And so they ate their like dog. I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Canine.
Yeah. Probably was an outside dog. They probably were like the same as that person I'm talking about.
You tell because the meat wasn't that rich. It's like
something.
Dude, that's so, I don't know.
Yeah, I can.
Desperate times, I mean. But, well, I mean, look at the people in that movie Alive that like Andy's plane crash that like.
Dude, did you see the new one?
That's the new one. But,
Snow Society. Fucking killer movie. It's basically, it's the same story of this rugby team that's like going to, I think they're going to Brazil. They're from like Argentina or something, and they get stuck in like the Alps. And I don't know if any of that's accurate, like, but basically it's like a team that the plane crashes and they get stranded on
the Rocky Mountains in Colorado.
Yeah, they get stuck in they get stuck in the mountains somewhere, and they like have only like what's in the luggage to survive. There's like, I think there's 48 passengers originally, 24 of them survived the crash initially, and then it's like, I think like 13 or 14 survived like the whole thing, and they were stranded for like 72 days in the Alps with like, so there's no like food or anything. It's just snow and rocks and avalanches and shit the whole time. There's nothing there. And they have like a bunch of cigarettes for some reason. Like somebody just packed like a bunch of cigarettes because they're all like
2-week trip, 18 cartons of cigarettes.
Yeah. They're all, this is like, I think in like the 70s.
Yeah.
No, it was in the 80s, I think. The 80s. So they just like had like cigarettes, like liquor, some food, but not like enough to like sustain. And they had like lighters and stuff, but they couldn't like burn anything like consistently to keep, because they like, there's just not enough shit. Like, so they end up like basically like surviving the 71 days by eating, spoiler alert, they end up eating the people that died and like eating them down like to the bone, like corpses like everywhere, where they're like ripping fucking like everything. All you see is like empty skeletons of like the cavities are gone, like eating everything to stay alive. Now that's a question. If you're in that situation,
no, dude.
No,
absolutely not.
I fucking would totally, dude. I would
half
eat
the time.
I would eat.
You're just waiting for an excuse to eat people. Huh?
I would eat us.
Can't wait,
dude. You don't know what
give me a plane crash.
but like if you look at it from like outside and go like, okay, like they have this conversation in the movie and they're like, well, there's food out there. Like if an animal were to, like a bear would come grazing across and be like, I need to eat. Like they're not gonna be like, oh, that's a human or that's like another
bear's
bear.
Not gonna go like home years later and have like thoughts, flashbacks of like cutting off someone's arm to stay like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
you won't
like
either if you don't do it because you'll be dead. So it's
cool.
like it's kind of this interesting predicament that they're all in, but they're like they all have these like moral and ethical like choices that they have to make, and they're like some of them are like, I can't do it because of my religious beliefs, and like then one of them starts dying and he's like, well, fuck, I'd like I don't want to die, so like starts eating it, and they would like pack it in snow. They'd rip the meat off and then pack it in snow and then eat it that way because I guess it was like easier for them to like mentally like swallow it or something. But it's fucking nuts. And then like the end.
See, now that's a little different. I thought they were like sitting
mean?
there putting on some like napkins.
I think
and
it's
stuff,
even
like,
grosser.
I don't know. I think it's because you're literally just trying to. That's how I eat sushi. And just fucking throw it in my mouth, chew it a little, and then swallow it with beer. That's it.
I mean,
I'm not like raw meat.
The crazier part of the story is like there's like 3 guys that go off to like try to find like because they're only like 15 miles away from like where they were going to when the plane crashed, but they just didn't kind of know which direction, you know?
Yeah.
So like 2 guys try to go off initially and they don't get too far because there's like blizzards and shit at night. And they're like, dude, it's like the coldest, craziest shit. They don't have anything. They're just wearing like dead people's clothes, like layers and layers, and like don't have like sleeping bags or anything. They're just like out there in the elements like all night. And then they failed and like live on in like the plane hull, like the shell of the plane that they all like landed in.
Yeah. Like
they kind of use that to kind of like as their like house. And then at the end of the film, like 2 guys go off and like they're like, all right, this is like we're like 60 some days into this shit. So like we're just gonna go and like try one last time. So you have to hike up a mountain, go down a mountain, up a mountain, and like go. It's like 15 miles like over mountains, like a mountain range. So there's like a valley that they're trying to get to. So they pack like a bunch of human meat, like their food with them, like to sustain them to this journey. And it's just so fucking nuts. And then I don't know how many days it took. I think it was like 5 or 6 days or something that it took them to get to the valley. And like this farmer sees them and they're like drinking water out of this stream. They're like, oh, we fucking crashed this plane, and like ends up getting them all saved, you know? But it's like, man, if they would have all like, if somebody would have just kind of, if they would have pushed through that first time or like would have, I don't know, just would have gone in that direction, they could have like saved themselves like 65 days or whatever it is of fucking living in the mountains with nothing. But it's so crazy though. That shit was like, it's such a good movie though. You got to watch it. It's better than the one that came out in like the 90s.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's in Spanish and it's overdubbed, but don't let that deter you from the movie.
See, that's the problem with airlines. You can't carry a lighter on you anymore. You know, it's like a necessity, dude.
You can't?
I don't think so, man.
Dude, I've carried a knife on mine. Like I have a knife on my keychain. And it never gets
Eric Rustler.
It never gets like buzzed or anything. Like it goes through like security and you know TSA and all that shit. And I'm like, oh man,
I would like to. I mean, there's again, I was watching my most frequently referenced show, Unsolved Mysteries, and they're talking about the DB Cooper thing, right? And there's a guy that was like, you know, there was like one guy that's like pro him surviving, the other one's like anti. It's like, this is why it could happen. This is why it couldn't happen. But the guy's like, he's like, I think that any man, you know, with like a lighter and like some like, you know, and a pocket knife could survive in the woods like for an undetermined amount of time and shit. I was like, actually, that's pretty true. If you have fucking fire and it means to cut shit, you're better off than being just like a cell phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, this is like an episode like shot 20, 30 years ago where it's just like, that was pretty commonplace. Most people had a pocket knife and a lighter on them all the time.
I don't know. I think like when your life is on the line, like you will start being like super creative. Like your body, like your brain will just go into overdrive and be like, all right, how do I survive? Like, what do I need to do? Like, what do I need? Like they were eating like fucking like just anything. They would go to like rocks that didn't have snow on it, and, like find like bugs and shit and like try to eat them and like everything. Like I can only imagine like what your mind must be like, say a week without food and then go like over a month.
Dude, you got 2 things going against me for this situation. One, it's cold. You're like in the coldest of cold. And you're eating like just bugs and human meat. No, thank you, dude. No, thank you.
But how would you even kill yourself?
I would just let it happen. I would just fucking chill there, like until I fell asleep. Done.
Dude, oh man, it was just such a my palms were sweaty the whole movie. Like I was just like, oh my god, this is so fucking intense. Such a good fucking film though. Great story. I would love to like. We should get one of those guys on the podcast. It's probably still alive. They're like 20 or 19 and shit. They're super young, like all the guys.
They're probably only like 40, 50.
Probably like in their 50s.
1,000 years old too. Same age as Snickers. They're way old, like 60?
The 70, probably 70.
Nah, not 70.
I don't know, Mark. Do a quick Googs on that and see what comes up. I wouldn't be
surprised. They were 20 in like 1982 when that crash happened, or 80. They're only like 60. Man, I guess that's still pretty damn old. Oh. Way off. Okay, so they're dead.
Okay, so they're still alive. We got a chance to get him on the cast. Hey, you want to come on Eric and Tony show and talk about the most terrifying moment of your entire life? Really? Wow. Okay. Must have been that human meat.
You know, right?
And that's why protein is so important. That was the whole point of this conversation. You got to
pack it nice. Pack your human meat in snow and eat it. Just get it down the hatch.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I was watching another one. I'm watching the Uber movie.
Yeah.
That's on Netflix. The kid that was playing Batman, he was also in that like Bruce Willis movie where like his face was all like digitally like Bruce Willis was like him and he was him. I forget the name of it. Anyway,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He does a great job in that movie too. That was like interesting to see like the whole rise and like of Uber and like all the legal red tape that they kind of like fucked with, and like the guy was like basically an asshole though that like ran Uber. It was just
it's like any of those companies like that when they kind of manipulate the system. Like I watched something like that on Amazon, and it's like impressive at like to build from like everyone's seen like the meme of like Jeff Bezos in like a shitty office with like a handmade banner that says Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And then to where it is now. And then they go into like how they get around all the legal stipulations by like they're not really responsible for anything that you buy from their marketplace because it's not them, it's an independent vendor, right? So there's a bunch of like, legal red tape they can sidestep, and then to the point of like manipulating the actual like personnel, like where like just making them hit these quotas and like keeping their like productivity and having like, GPS trackers in their handhelds when they're scanning shit to like make sure they're not standing around. You know what I mean? Like they're little fucking just like cogs in the system and shit. And just like he's up there just kind of shifting levers like, how much more money can I, squeeze out of these people?
Exactly. Like that was the whole point of that. Like kind of, it's a series. I think it's like I don't know, like 8-episode series on Netflix, but it's like how initially like the whole like, point of Uber was to give like people like freedom to like they can work whenever they want, they can make like help make a better living and stuff. And then once the money started rolling in, they're like, oh, we can cut back on this and cut back on this. And then the Uber drivers were getting fucked. And then they were like, like people were losing their cars that they leased from Uber, and like, because they weren't getting enough like tips, and like the incentive ratios were down, and like all this crazy stuff. But yeah, it was another good little
do you ever drive Uber?
To watch. I always go Lyft.
No, did you ever drive it yourself?
No, I've never done it.
Done like a couple times. Like
really? You did?
Yeah, man, I had the Volt, dude, years ago.
Really?
And it was like
you would have done that.
Yeah, I ended up picking like
hey, String, you pick up people just without Uber or Lyft. You were just doing that shit normally. So you're like, I might as well get paid for it.
No, I picked up actually, it was weird. Like the handful of times I did it, had some decent like fares, if you will. And then I randomly picked up like one of like Sydney. Remember that chick?
I know the name, but I can't
one of her
put a face
friends.
to it.
And it was just like a like weird.
Oh, from your acting class?
No, from the place that we can't mention that we worked at before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I still can't remember which.
Either way, like. One of her friends and stuff. And then it was like one of those like Uber pools. So I had like a bunch of randoms in my car and shit. And then like I like was shooting the shit with her. And then like one of the chicks in the back, she's like, "Did you bring your friend on this trip?" I'm like, "No." Like just like happened to pick up a random person that I know. But like I had that.
Did you bring your friend on this trip?
Yeah. But dude, there's a time that I like Uber not profitable for me. And I also like one time I spent like 2 hours driving around. I got one fare. It was like some cracked out guy that was going from like a hotel to another hotel, and he like just reeked of booze and like some other drug that I'm not familiar with. So it was like probably something hardcore, but like I made like $4.20. And I'm like, get me the fuck home. Fuck this job. And then a couple years ago, I was Ubering from like South Central to work at like 5:45 in the morning, right? So I was like, I call for Uber like 5:15, and the dude like doesn't show. Finally shows up at the time I'm supposed to be at work, right? Late as fuck, with like a chick in the back seat, and then like I paid for like the private one, right?
Yeah.
Like so, and I'm like, there's someone else back there, and like this is like I used to smoke before work, so I was like a little stoned, and I was just kind of like sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna break the sound. So I'm like, hey, what's up with this person? I'm like, what's up with this chick back here?
What's up with
like,
this guy?
And I'm like, no offense, ma'am. I'm like, what's up with this? So you show up like a half an hour late. I'm already late for work, and like now they're like, I paid for a private ride, and I got somebody else back here. No offense, ma'am. And he's like, oh well, she was like, I don't want to leave her downtown. She was locked out of her apartment. I'm like, okay, well, you shouldn't just accepted the ride. Like, you want to stay with her and be like,
Right.
the savior. That's fine, but do not accept another fare because now I'm late. And so now you fucked up both things. We're like,
Right.
I'm late. You got some weird baggage from another trip with me and so that, like, no offense, man. Like, but like, I paid for a private ride. He's like, don't give me a bad review. I'm not going to give you a bad review. I'm not going to give you
a bad review.
I'm going to give you the tip. I just want you to know I'm disappointed in you. That's it. Like, just sat there in the silence and like, it was just like quiet. Like, when you kind of build that awkwardness, I'm comfortable sitting in that. Once I've like set that tone, I'm like, just, I'm disappointed. I'm sitting like this.
That is a very, very well-built awkwardness. When you're in a vehicle with someone that has
drive me to where I'm going.
Yeah, that is, and someone that you're like, you like don't want to be in there with, that knows you don't want them to be there.
Yeah.
That, oh my God, that must just have been thick.
Then it's funny because a couple times throughout the ride, he's just like, you know what? Like, he would go back, girl, like, about the reviews. I'm like, buddy, I'm going to give you a fine review. I just want you to know, like, do better. Like,
I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed. Like, you shouldn't have done this. Like, you know what? Like, you're not showing up as your best self today. Just get all this dad shit.
You're like motivational.
I expected more of you from you. Like, Ivan or whatever the fuck your name was.
That's the dice that you roll with Uber. It like anytime I get
none of those people are fucking trained drivers. In fact, 90% of your friends are bad drivers, right?
Right. I mean, most of the time when I get picked up from Uber, either it's like someone that they don't talk at all, which is great. We're just like, you don't talk to me. I'll say hi, and then oh, where you going? That's where I'm going, and that's it. But then every now and then I'll get like a total like fucking super talkative person that's like tell me about what they're doing and like why they're Ubering. Yeah. And right off the gate when they tell you that, oh, I'm doing this because I'm actually like a doctor and a lawyer, and I have like a entertainment firm, or like they always tell me something that's so grandiose that like
the driver.
Yeah, the driver. Like, yeah. I'm like, well, I don't like.
I'm a billionaire.
Yeah,
sometimes I need to keep my the pulse of the people. Yeah. That's why I'm driving this Toyota.
Exactly. It's always like some like super like high paying job that like I'm just doing it right now. Just just because like it's just an in between. I invented
the internet.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm like no, like probably not doing so hot, but like it's always like. And then I had one guy that was like on the phone with. He was like, I'm a talent agent. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. And he's like, yeah, I worked with Michael Jackson's daughter. And he's like, I'm going to call this one girl. We're making a movie right now. I'm a busy man. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he has this girl on speakerphone the whole ride. And he's talking to her about like, oh yeah, we're going to make all this money and I'm going to get you in this. And just like lying to her and like schmoozing her and stuff. And the whole time I'm in the back and it's on speakerphone. And I'm just like, dude, is any part of this like seem like inappropriate? Like that you're doing this, having this conversation? Then I think his mom called. He's talking to his mom and shit. I'm like,
you mind if I take this therapy call real quick?
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. I had like some guy, his wife called and he's like getting in an argument and shit. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
I had a chick that picked me up.
Like, at least wear headphones.
Yeah. But that's also kind of unsettling, which is like, I also like when you get in an Uber and it just smells like cigarettes. Like they just like flick the cigarette out and like got you in. Just like, hey, like, maybe I don't like to smell that. Maybe I like to just have like a clean car smell. But I got picked up by a chick, a woman, and she had like just like a Toyota Avalon or just some like basic ass car, nothing big. But she was just like bitching about fucking Uber and like the them kind of dialing back on the benefits or whatever the bonuses are and the surge prices and shit. She's like, and I'm gonna invoice them for like damage in my interior because look at all this interior. Look at how many cracks in my seat. I'm like, what the fuck do you think was gonna happen? You have a lot of bodies. Like that is your problem. Like you're trying to contest. You can't give that invoice to them. Like you're leasing your goods to them. That's how this works. Like you can't send them an invoice for fucking
like oil. Wear and
tires. Exactly. Like
going over all this shit.
Look at my seatbelt. It's all worn out. Like just the fuck out of here. That's like, and that's the other thing though too, man, is like, since the dawn of Uber and like Airbnb, it kind of goes with like this unspoken inflation and the fact that like people can't afford the goods that they have, right? Which is like, in order for you to have your place, you need to Airbnb it for like, 3/4 of the month. And for order for you to have your car, you need to drive around strangers for fucking like your nights and stuff. Like you clearly are like, and again, there's like some people are trying to do a side hustle, but you're trying to offset the payment of your car and shit.
Right.
Like we're just like, you look back, 30, 40 years ago when you could have like a single parent working, covering all bills. Now it's like you're working several jobs, leasing out your own personal possessions to fucking like just stay afloat.
Yeah, man. Our generation got fucked. Our generation is like the first generation to like officially get fucked with like all the shit that our parents like. Our parents bitch about stuff. Oh, all this stuff. Like no, like you guys could at least afford a house and like raise a family with one job, like the American dream. Like the dad goes to work, the mom stays home. You raise a family, you have a house in a fucking suburb, all that bullshit. Like you could do that in their generation. Our generation, there's no fucking way. Like you can't have a house, you can't have kids, you can't do fucking any of that shit. It's like the house part for sure not. It's like so fucking expensive. And just in general, everything is just inflation just kept going up and the wages of workers just stayed the same. It was like, we just keep this the same. Yeah. Like, what are you going to do? They're like, what are you going to do about it? And you're like,
just work another job.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Go back to work.
Yeah. It's just fucking, yeah, it's pretty shitty.
My last Uber that I took was like, I think it was when I went to that concert a couple weeks ago. And like, again, rolls up smelling like cigarettes and shit. Just like, again, like there's, because I'm like that too. Sometimes I'll be quiet and not say shit, but then sometimes I'll just like, and I just kind of happen to take my AirPods out, get in the car.
Yeah.
We start making small talk and stuff.
Yeah. I usually try to like, if they're like open, I'll have a little conversation and shoot the
But they're ready. I'll put them right back in.
Yeah.
The second it seems a little weirder, like conversation, or they're on a call type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we just started going through divorce woes and stuff, and like, I was like, "All right, well, hey, good luck with your life. She's like, good luck with your life, all right."
Yeah, that's always the best part when you leave and you're like, hey man, like you're like, especially if they're cool, you know, you're like, all right, cool, man. Like, but you're not like gonna be like, hey, you want to be friends now?
Yeah.
You know, you want my phone number? Like, and, you know, I guess you know where I live.
So when we hanging out again?
Yeah, exactly. It's always,
I haven't had a repeat fucking Uber driver, which is interesting, huh?
Yeah, that's
you ever had that?
No, I haven't. I've just had like either people that are super quiet or people that are like way too talkative or say things that like some guy was like, yeah, I'm a doctor. I got my degree. I'm like, oh, where'd you go? And he's like, I got it online. Like, I'm like, what kind of doctor? He's like a healing doctor or something. He's like, yeah. So like, all you got to do is like, I'm going to just get a website and then like, you know, I'm charged like $300-400 per session and just like heal people and stuff like through my like meditations and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, it's really easy. You should get into it. I'm like, no, like you're driving me around. Like,
but you should heal your bank account.
Like this doesn't seem like it was a good life choice. Like maybe you should do something else. Like,
yeah.
All right. What else you got going on? What's going on for the rest of your week? We got some big
show Sunday.
Yeah, show Sunday.
Show Sunday. Yeah. Back over here at the Petty Cash Arcade. Got dad duty the next 2 days too. Just in the thick of like a 4-day spread of dad in it. And then I take the kid out to ride his bike again, man. But like here's the thing. So his helmet doesn't fit him, right?
Yeah.
Then part of me is like, does he need a helmet though?
Yes.
Why?
'Cause, man,
I'm like right there next to him.
I mean, I guess, but
dude,
like,
here's the thing.
Yeah, like, what? Then you're gonna be. Then I would just do this just for the sake of like, if he gets hurt, then it's like, our kid's fucking stupid now, and like he's fucking like, you know, it's like something happened to him, like your fault. Like, just slap a helmet on him.
All right,
and he's young. He's a little guy. He's clumsy and fucking like learning to walk like normal and talk and all that stuff.
All right, here's
even though
what's really going on.
That wasn't the case with us. I know for sure.
I thought about that. I'm going through this nostalgic moment right now because like I bought my kids some GI Joes, right? So like clearly we have a problem with gun control in this country, right? So like getting like dart guns or Nerf guns is kind of taboo because it's like, oh, you're making to play with guns. This is probably the problem. It's like I don't think that's the reason why we have the problem because like we were watching GI Joe, the old school one, the 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
Good messages the whole way through. It even has that thing in the beginning or the end where it's just like, there's like a little girl gets a phone call from a stranger like, hey, is your mommy daddy there? No. It's like, hey, I got some candy or some shit. And then like G.I. Joe comes like, hey, don't tell strangers that your parents aren't home. It's like, the more you know or some shit like that. It's like, yeah, like knowing is half the battle, where the fuck it is. But like, there's a lot of those good messages. But watching the cartoon with Anthony, it makes the action figures have like, there's like the good guys and bad guys. And like, then I also didn't realize that like Cobra's like, they're not like Russia or like a known enemy. They're like a weird alien type thing trying to just ruin mankind.
Oh,
right?
Really?
So they're gonna, and just G.I. Joe just happens to be like, Captain, like Team America World Police, where they're just like,
gotcha.
Obviously the Americans are gonna fix it for everybody. We have some allies in other countries and shit, but like it's up to G.I. Joe. but like they always like, go Joe. And he's like, Dad, why who's Joe? Like that's just what they say. And then they go, Cobra, forever. Yeah. So it's just like these weird, all these throwbacks, man. And then like Sergeant Slaughter being in the mix. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So it's a fucking
I'm
trip.
sure it's
like,
a trip watching that.
Well, there's like a 24/7 loop on like YouTube, right? So like while I'm folding laundry for like an hour, I'm watching like, I don't know, like how many episodes of G.I. Joe, right? With Anthony. And it's like a real schooling because, dude, I wasn't that aware when I was a kid what the hell like the subject matter was and stuff.
Right.
Like, but they're talking about a bunch of crazy ass like interdimensional shit and like some of the stuff that kind of checks out for like, ancient aliens type stuff. I'm like, whoa, okay, like check you out, G.I. Joe, with some like your real facts. It's like when you watch Ghostbusters and you realize that like half of like the technical mumbo jumbo they talk about is like, actually it's vetted. Like they actually did the research and you're like, and everyone's like, it's such a stupid movie. It's about ghosts. It's like, but it's actually about a pretty, accurate portrayal of paranormal, like, science stuff. However, true or not, but still, like, they did the research. Same thing with G.I. Joe, which is like, basically, it's just a 20-minute long commercial to sell toys.
Right.
Like, did you watch that, like, the Toys That Made Us?
Yeah, I've watched that. Yeah. That's great. That's a great show. Super nostalgic.
Yeah, so when they go to, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is, like, another one that was, like, super cool toy. Love the cartoons. The movies are all right? But, like, the toys were awesome.
Yeah.
But, like, that all came to be, like, they make this little, like, toy drawing, and they're like, hey, how do we sell this? Well, we'll start making cartoons, just start stuff like pumping this shit out. And you're like, oh, like it takes away the soul of the project, where it's just like, this has all just been a ploy to product place, like, toys for kids.
The funny story about Ninja Turtles, he brought it up. So Jacob, my younger brother, it's his birthday coming up, or it's actually today. I have to call him after this podcast, actually.
Jacob, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dude. So oh wait, I can't say this.
Is he 30?
Oh no, I can say it because it's not going to air till.
How old Jacob now?
He's 35, I think.
Jesus Christ.
So his girlfriend is doing a surprise birthday party for him, because when he was like 4 or 5, he had a Ninja Turtles birthday party. Went to a bowling alley, and like the first like ball that he rolled, it like came out of his hand, and his pinky got, where the gutter starts? Yeah. It like smashed his finger and like split it open. And he had to leave his own birthday party. Like the first like 10 minutes that had happened, he had to go to the emergency room and miss his whole party and everything.
Loser.
Yeah. And
just kidding, Jacob.
And so his wife like knows that story, and so she's doing a surprise birthday party for him at a bowling alley, Ninja Turtle themed, and like the whole thing.
She should get one of those finger splints to put on his finger just so it doesn't get damaged.
Yeah, do something to keep it. But yeah, I thought that was like a really cool like idea to like do that for him. But yeah, Ninja Turtles, nostalgic. You can't go wrong with that. It's like hitting the birthday thing, recreating like event in his life that was probably really traumatic, and then like making good out of it. You gotta get your kids watching like Fraggle Rock. You should see what like trippy ass shit
so Fraggle Rock too, man. It's another one. I think it's on Apple or something like that. And then they actually started making some new ones too. But like I got him on
new
all
Fraggle Rock.
Yeah,
really?
Mm-hmm.
Like with the puppets and stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff like that. Oh, dude, here's the funny thing though. So back to G.I. Joe. There's a lot of like innuendo stuff there because like this chick, like just like this, they're all like busty. All the females are like real busty, like kind of like. And there, I don't know what episode it was or what the scenario was or who even the bad guy was, but like he comes up behind this chick and I forget what her name is, like Scarlet or some shit, and like knocks her out, right? And then like Duke, the head G.I. Joe, comes and rescues her, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, and she's like rubbing her head, her hair's all disheveled and stuff. And they got the bad guy tied up in the background. And she's like, "Yeah, he just hit me from behind, but I'm okay." I was like, whoa, what the hell? Some
sexual undertones
from the back.
Shit.
It's okay. Yeah, it's hit me from the back or some shit like that. And I was like, "That's all right."
He's like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah, yeah. Don't forget that.
Yeah, man.
Where we got that from? Yeah, dude. All those shows are like the Charlie Brown, Great Pumpkin, all the Easter stuff. Like,
yeah,
those are all even old like claymation, Santa and all that stuff.
Yeah, that shit's fucking. That's even before our time though. That's like in the fucking 60s and shit when that shit was made. They just,
but those
like,
are cool though, dude, because they're like the amount of work that went into making them to begin with, and then just again, there's like the I think it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like trying to explain that who the hell Rudolph is, apart from a bunch of random like 1950s songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like after we watched that movie, we were like going somewhere, and there's like a picture of like, it was like a lake setting, and like, you know, Santa's flying over it, and show that in the front reindeer. You see a little red nose. I'm like, Anthony, he's like, that Santa. I'm like, yeah. Who's that in the front with the red thing? He's like, the red-nosed reindeer, Rudolph. I was like, yeah, there we go. So like, it got, yeah,
reindeer.
the red-nosed reindeer himself, Rudolph. Yeah.
Is super soakers like a thing still? That was like a big thing back when I was a kid, like getting super soakers.
Yeah.
Like I bet that shit's insane now. I'm sure they have like Gatling gun
dude,
super
yeah, for
soakers
sure.
and like fucking.
Because even the dart guns that I got him, there's like some, you know, insane ones that are like 100-round clip, just like it's a battery operated.
Yeah, yeah.
But the ones that like, he actually learned how to like cock the guns that I got him and shit. So there again, going into like, you know, the current gun problem, like it, but they're toy guns, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, you could still like, even having like a Nerf gun, you could still teach them to like respect a gun and like don't point it at people and just shoot it at targets and stuff.
Well,
even though that's not really the message that Nerf is really doing.
This is like a thought that I had with watching like this nostalgic stuff, because when you watch these things, like even like old school cartoons like we grew up on, like Bugs Bunny, right?
Yeah.
They're like knocking people on the head with a frying pan, and then all of a sudden like that little like lump comes out. It's like just raw skin, no fur, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, one can argue that like, you know, creates like a violent attitude and shit, right?
Yeah.
But then you look back at the last like 20 years since they've had these fucking like bubble wrapped cartoons where like no one's getting hit, there's no definitive bully or bad guy, right? And then all those kids that grew up on that shit, they're all the ones fucking doing the mass shootings. Like they're all like the 17, 18-year-old kids that are fucking going around popping off over it, because like it's no longer like. So I'm like, maybe if I just raise Anthony on the shit that I grew up on, he won't be like some kind of psychopath like that. Or just like, you see there's like a delicate balance there. Like, you don't want to be a bad guy. That's a bad guy. You know, but where there's like just these weird cartoons that kids have now that there's like no real moral compass.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There isn't like a lot of the same messaging, I think. I think it's all a lot like softer nowadays, for sure. Where I think everything was a little bit more blunt, a little bit more harder edged. But yeah. So,
you know, with that, just roll to a fucking stop, huh? What else do I have in the notes? What'd you got?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I mean, there's so many things, man. I can go on another fucking Trump rant for a good 30 minutes, but we did that the last or second to last episode.
Yeah, no,
I will say though, with that episode, man, I got a bunch of comments. Or we got a bunch of comments on the Facebook and the YouTube and shit. Man, that like really irritates people. They start everyone like all. It's so weird because I'm like, these fucking people will be like, oh, like these guys are idiots. I'm like, well, yeah, we there's like, we tell you that right away.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, there's a disclaimer of that. And then they're like, give their opinion of like what, you know, their feeling is on Trump, and like, and then they'll be like, Trump 2024. And I'm like, ugh, that's gross. Like, you fucking watch our podcast. But I'm like, thanks for watching. But again, like, you know, it's like so weird to like, why does this shit keep coming up in my feed and like whatever? I'm like,
you know what though? I mean, I will say I appreciate them watching. I appreciate the fact that like, you know, you should see both sides of, you know, whatever, like,
yeah, I mean,
whatever your opinion is, check out the other side too. I mean,
there'll be like 24 negative comments, and then like one person, all I'll need is one person will be like, I totally agree with what this guy said. And I'll be like, all right, cool. That's it.
For you, number 25.
Yeah. Like Zingbat 29824, whatever, thumbs up, you know. But I never respond to anything, but it's just funny to like, when I read that shit, it's just like hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, someone took the time to like, this is what I think. Like fucking little bitches out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's our job to educate the people. This is a very factual podcast. Cross check everything.
Yeah. This is our world in here. All right. You want to enter it? Click the link, like and subscribe.
Soon to be sponsored by Bissell.
Yeah. Soon to be sponsored by this Dos Equis. Probably after they see this podcast. Be like, where do we sign up?
Amber, baby.
Amber. Tastes.
So I started drinking these Dos Equis Ambers years ago when I was in an acting class, right? Howard Fine that Marcos got us into.
Yeah.
Right. And I had the scene partner who was an older dude. I think he's probably like, he had to have been like in his 60s then. Like, he might be dead.
Oh,
now.
I remember that
Joe,
guy.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice dude, right? retired casting director, like, you know, now he's getting into acting and shit. And then like we had like a sidebar of doing like, you know, scene study and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I just gotten into like, you know, like I'm surprised how many people get into shit for the sake of meeting women, right? Where it's just like the guy we used to work with got into acting for the sake of meeting chicks. It's just like, but what about the actual like art of what you do? Like it's just like these little guys and stuff. Like people get a dog to try to meet women. It's just like, damn, do you have anything that is just genuine for you?
Like our one friend who's like, yeah, it's learn how to cook all these good meals, like chicks dig it. I'm like, who gives a shit? Yeah. Like, do you like it? And
or you just be a regular person. Yeah. You might like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do this because girls like it. I do this. I got this carb because girls like it. Yeah. I'm like, what is your deal, man? You fucking.
Anywho, so he at some point in time was like, he said, you know, kind of divulged he was a casting director for the sake of meeting women. And then now he's in this acting class with me. And I'm like, dude, you're like AARP age and shit. You're like old. Like you should probably fucking buy a plot at like Hollywood Forever and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like start getting your funeral arrangements in order. And you're trying to meet young college chicks at like a fucking acting class. It's weird, but
it is weird.
Yeah. So we would drink some Dos Equis during our like, you know, rehearsal. We split a 6-pack and shit. And I was like probably 24 at the time. And then I always had like fond memories of this guy. Apart from that shit, like I was like, oh, this guy's right up my alley. You know, like, no. I love this. He's like a nice dude. He's just kind of like a cool older dude to talk. The scenes that we ended up doing, we always ended up playing a father and shit. It was like some cool shit to like kind of work out and just hear cool stories of like, you know, Hollywood back in the day. And then, but I would like reference him. Obviously, you knew him the second I brought him up, right? Yeah. So like it kind of stayed in my mind. Cut to like 5 years ago, I'm at like Tender Greens off Santa Monica over here. Yeah. He walks by and I'm like, my ex knew who he was. And I'm like, hey, that's Joe. I'm like, Joe. He stops and like just stares at me. I'm like, Joe, it's Tony. Howard Fine. He's like, acting class. He's like, I'm like, oh, this guy had no idea who the fuck I was. Like, completely did not remember a goddamn thing. I'm like, that's so crazy how you can be like, you know, someone could be like a stand-up pillar. Not like he fucking like
maybe it wasn't Joe.
No, it was definitely him. Because he lives right around the corner. And I was like, yeah, you live in the firehouse up there. You know, all that shit. Like, you, Joe, insert last name. You know what I mean? Like, just like, yeah, remember? Just fucking had no idea who the fuck it was. And like, either I look 1,000 years older than I did then. Possibly, but
possible.
But like, yeah, it's just crazy. Like there was like nothing clicking and shit. I was like, damn, that's funny because that's like that happened that time we were at Electric Owl, right?
I mean that.
You remember that because we were with.
Oh
like,
yeah,
it was after the podcast.
Who was that?
It was that chick we used to work with at the Airbnb company.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't have went up and said hi. Anyways, that was already like a couple years
funny.
in.
I remember you told me that. I was like, "Wow, she didn't remember you or nothing." It was
nothing. That. It was like, yeah,
that's
like,
so weird because that wasn't even that long ago. Well, I mean, no, it's got 9 years ago.
Well, it's like almost 7 years ago. Yeah,
yeah.
That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, fuck, man, time flies, man.
It does fly,
but still, like. We like hung out with her at her mom's place in Venice.
I know, and that's the thing is where I'm just, like again too. I have no real fucking like gauge as to sincerity with people where I feel like we're having a moment right now. Like,
yeah.
This is cool. We're all bonding right now at this moment. And it's just like, this means fucking nothing. I'm going to flush this out of my memory the second we like, you know, part ways. This is gone. This is a fleeting moment where I like hold on to that with nostalgia. I'm like, what a cool moment. Hanging out here on Venice Beach. You know what I mean?
That one was kind of weird though. Cause you would think
super weird.
Yeah. That you would think for sure. Like that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a memorable, like, and we saw her all the time. Like we worked with her.
Saw her all the time, and I never seen her had like the Grammys that year that I was a background dancer for Metallica.
Oh, really?
Saw her at an after party.
Really?
Yeah.
And you said hi to her then?
Said hi to her. She said hi to me. She sought me out and stuff. And,
oh, really?
Yeah. The woman whose name shall not be mentioned was jealous of who this. Because she looks like what's her face? The fuck? She looks like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think prettier. She's like actually like still really pretty. I think.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's kind of lost her shit.
Well, I think she's like married, has kids and shit now. So maybe she's just trying to like, I don't like acknowledge any of my past. I'm a mom now.
No, dude, she was with her husband and they don't have kids. I said hi to both those two, and both of them like, and I had lunch with them at some point in time too. And I was just like,
really?
Yeah, dude. It was like so bizarre. I was just kind of like, that's crazy. Like that. All right, sure. You know.
I don't know, man.
Just can't say hi to people all the time. I had to stop that. Fucking running for mayor around this town.
Yeah, everybody fucking knows you though. That's funny.
I'm plugged back in at Ralph's, dude.
Oh, really?
Oh boy.
The Cashier's still there.
Yeah.
She's still holding it down. Same with caramel dropping. She's still there.
She's still there. Have you talked about that on the podcast?
I don't know.
So years ago, Eric and I, we first moved out here, just gluttonous dudes, just like a bunch of idiots. Then we didn't drink at the time or smoke weed. You know what I mean? So just the only thing we did is like eat shitty food sometimes. So we go to the gym, work out, eat pretty clean, and then get like Little Caesars pizza, crazy bread, those Take 5 McFlurries, just McFlurries from
McDonald's.
Yeah. But go around to all these places, just get a bunch of like, you know,
like
shit food.
Like 10,000 calories of food each, and then go home, watch Family Guy, and like just like pass out.
Yeah.
And was there
real winners?
Yeah, total
real losers. No, so the chick that worked at this drive-thru at the McDonald's, it was on Crescent Heights, which is now closed down. Right? That was the one.
Yeah.
Had kind of a speech impediment, and we were trying to get caramel topping on the McFlurries, but she called it caramel droppings. like bird shit. Caramel droppings? Yeah, caramel dropping it up, baby. Drop the shit out of that caramel all over those McFlurries. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
add caramel droppings?
You want caramel dropping?
All of them. Caramel droppings
yes,
and all
caramel
of them.
droppings, everything.
All 4 of them. Get 4 McFlurries, extra caramel droppings.
It's like that's just so funny, but it's like such a perfect like description of like what it was. It was caramel droppings.
Yeah,
it's like
better than the menu.
Yeah.
It was like, topping, not at all. It's dropping all over it.
It's droppings all over it,
like bombs.
So yeah, she ended up working at the Ralph's, and so she's over there now. She's still holding it down over there. But every time she checks me out, I always think of that caramel droppings.
But I guarantee that chick again, just like Joe, has no idea who the fuck you are.
Yo, for
don't
sure
know
not.
that you and I were like these 2 idiots driving through like random black trucks.
Yeah,
in a drive through at like 11 o'clock, getting caramel droppings all over a bunch of fast food
extra
grab bags.
Droppings. Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah,
that shit's fucking. That's fun. Bless you.
Bless you. Yeah, man. I also I was at the laundromat today, so now I'm back at laundromat living. And
by over where? Oh no, Kim's is gone.
Kim's is now Domino's.
Yeah, no Kim's is Domino's. You can't do laundry at Domino's for sure not.
Yeah, and that is like just one of those things where I can't sit there the entire time. I have to try to still time out and do something while I'm like doing laundry. So like,
yeah.
Now instead of Kim at Kim's, I got my girl Natalie at the whatever this new.
Where do you go?
Right next to the vet.
Vet? Yeah.
But dude, every other one of those fucking like washers and dryers is broken. So it's just like trying to find like a couple at work, and there's a couple like there's just always a couple weirdos that like are hanging out at laundromats and stuff, and like I have to kind of throw myself in that because I'm probably weirder to them too. But like,
you guys don't have like a fucking washer and dryer machine at your apartment?
No.
You should just come over to my place and just do it there. They have it in the basement down there, and it's all brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even have to use coins. You just use a fucking like scan a QR code.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
They got all of them now, like new.
Yeah, I might take you up on that because just the amount of like quarters I have to like siphon through. My kid's trying to play with quarters and they're all dirty and they touch his mouth. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is how you get sick. Like everything you touch, you just like put your hands in your mouth afterwards. I'm like, all this shit is just like gross. It's just like,
dude.
It's been touched by 1,000 homeless people. Just everything.
Your kid's gonna have like the strongest immune system of any kid ever. The kid
Meanwhile,
is sick,
my couch is taking the beating, just fucking him like losing his bowels all over everything and stuff. And it's just like,
you should have been like the old people and put like one of those plastic wraps over your couch and been like, there you go.
I still might.
Yeah, you should just do that right now while you still don't have any like permanent shit stains on it. You just fucking wrap it in some plastic.
Just so you know, if you ever come to my place, it's not covered in shit stains. My whole house
shit
is
everywhere.
Shit. I went brown everywhere. No, man, but like he's in that helper mode, right? So he's trying to like help do everything and stuff, and like so I let him put all the last quarters in because dude, like it costs like $7.75
putting like a bunch of quarters in your mouth that are like public quarters is like the fucking grossest. Like you're gonna get something.
Oh, for sure.
He's licking toilet seats and fucking quarters in his
dude,
mouth.
So I was
fucking eating shit off
trying
the
to time out
ground.
my wash and dry cycles with I went to Aroma because he was hungry. So like I pick him up from school, gets sent home because he's sick, right? So I feel like the teacher was just like, he wasn't that sick. Again, he had like a little accident, and then like she told me, so I was like, I'll come pick him up. And then on the way to pick him up, he threw up, but it was because he's like put his fingers down his throat, like just like kids put shit in their mouth and causes like, I think she made it sound like he was sick, like throwing up, and it was just like, no, he triggered his gag reflex, threw up. Either way, I'm on my way. Yeah, and shit his pants. While doing so, shit his pants.
God.
But yeah, so I pick him up, and then now he's hungry, obviously. So put the shit in the washer, go to like next door to the restaurant, get some food, start eating it. But I wash his hands. We go to the bathroom, wash his hands, and then while we're done washing his hands, there's like a urinal with like the stall wall.
Like eating the urinal cake.
He touches the wall with his hand. I'm like, oh my God. That is like the dirtiest thing you could possibly touch. Like that's like piss backsplash. I'm like, God damn it.
Like drinking out of the
you
urinal.
You can't get like, because he's like, a sensitive kid. I came like, oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck you doing, kid? Like, and his little lip gets all sad. So I'm like, buddy, come on. Like, that's like you couldn't have touched a dirtier
I think you got to start doing shit like that. You got to be like more like, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
I think like there's like
that shit kind of works sometimes too. Like my dad put the fear of God in us. Anytime he raised his voice, you don't have to hit him or do anything, but like he would raise his voice and that would like,
you can
it would
tell,
like
he can
freeze
tell there's
you.
a tone in the demeanor. I don't think I need to like, throw the bass in my voice to scare him and shit, but just literally just like telling him like, Anthony, like that is like the worst thing you can touch. I'm like, see that? Like I just explained, like pee comes off that, it touches that. And like I showed him, I was like, like I was literally in the car one day and I was like, all right, I had like a fucking napkin. I'm like, see this? I touched this. This is the germs. Now the germs touch this and this goes this. And that's how like it gets to your mouth.
There's no way a kid's going to understand that. No fucking way. There's no way.
Yes, there is, because what the hell is I had another analogy with him today. And it was like
he's like the whole time you're telling him he's like fucking eating a urinal cake and fucking like quarters in his one cheek and fucking urinal cake in the other. He's fucking
there was
licking
like
the wall and shit.
So toilet. Yeah.
And that's how germs are made.
Yeah, he's like getting the sense of it and stuff because he's like, Dad, well, wash my hands. I'm like, okay, good. Like he's good at washing his hands. He's pretty fucking
like you should be like, why you shit your pants at school? It's because you ate quarters. You're fucking licking out of the urinal and shit. Like, don't do that. You're gonna fucking feel like shit at school.
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, every time, I'm like, when you like, fuck, what the fuck was it? Brain fart analogy. Basically, just repeating the fact that like when you do this, it's guaranteed this is gonna happen. Same way when you touch something and then put your hands in your mouth, you're gonna get sick. It's guaranteed. It's always gonna happen. Just like when you hold your potty, you're gonna pee yourself. Like there's these things like that are just guaranteed are gonna happen. So like, just don't do that. Just alleviate that problem. So just don't put stuff in your mouth because that's how you get sick. And then seconds later, he's like touching a hand out of his mouth and stuff. And it's like
exactly.
We'll get it eventually. Either that, or he's got a super strong immune system and shit.
Yeah, one or the other. Not likely.
Yeah,
man.
It's a strong kid though, dude. He's like, so I got that pull-up bar at the place, right?
Yeah.
He's banging out about 6 pull-ups now.
6 pull-ups is good.
Slightly assisted, but like he's getting a little defined bicep because you wouldn't see it under these jackets, but I got some decent biceps myself. But like he's starting a little thing because he's like proud about that kind of shit. So he's picking up. Well, that's the other thing too is I'm worried about him like getting a hernia from like trying to pick up shit. Because
kids get that?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Fuck yeah,
dude.
I had a double hernia surgery when I was 2.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What the fuck were you doing at 2?
I was just fucking
hard labor,
powerlifting.
Yeah, what the fuck you doing?
My dad had me running the wheelbarrow at the fucking job site.
Yeah, really. Like,
I think I was lifting stuff. My little sister had the same thing too. And
at 2, can you even like walk when you're 2?
Yeah.
What do you do when you're 2? Like you're like this. You're like what? 2 feet tall or some shit?
Screaming can do that too.
Really?
My little sister got a hernia from screaming. Yeah.
That's why
Heidi's voice is so raspy.
So you you had surgery when you were 2?
Yeah.
And like they had hernia surgery or whatever?
Right above my abdomen. Right in my lower abdomen. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But he already had kind of like a slightly like outie belly button scenario. So like he could also, aggravate that from lifting shit. But he tries to lift a bunch of stuff. I'm like, buddy, Alex had a couple double, cow bell weights.
Yeah. Those little weights. I remember that was kind of fun. Like going over there and when I was like a couple months ago, we're hanging out and everyone's like trying to, like pretend like we couldn't lift it. And then like, he would lift it and be like, whoa, you're so strong.
Yeah.
Like fucking with kids that way. It's kind of fun to do that, like, oh my God, you're like the strongest kid in the world, and he's like, whoa, like, oh my God, this is so heavy. You could just like, you could do so much stuff like how you wire his brain, like so many things, like, you know, good and bad.
Well, that's the funny thing too. So we're like, again, playing like, you know, winding down, playing G.I. Joes with him last night, right? So like, we got a couple. I only got a couple little figurines, like 4 of them, right? And then I got a bunch of random dinosaurs and fucking these chicken nuggets that come in these adult Happy Meals now. Do you know what those are?
No, you told me about that. There's adult Happy Meals.
McDonald's, soon to be sponsor.
Are you sure? Is that where they told you? Like, these are the adult ones.
Adult. It's like dildo shit there.
Yeah.
It's not. There's like it's a bigger box.
They're like, are these?
It's like
you're like, are these the
Frost
adult
edition? Some like, I don't know who this guy is. He doesn't know who I am. But like, they basically making like an old school version of like the chicken nuggets. So there's like, I think 5 or 6 of them that you can get. But regardless, all Anthony wants is the fries in the box, right? He'll eat the nuggets. So one's a 10-piece chicken nugget meal, and the other one's like a Big Mac meal and stuff. So like, I got each of us a meal the other day, and then I'd gotten one in the past. So he has like 3 of these little nuggets, a couple dinosaurs. Now they're standing between the G.I. Joes and the vehicle they need to get in. So the G.I. Joes had to get there, these chicken nuggets, trying to eat them and stuff. And like that just like entertained him for like a half an hour, just playing back and forth and trying to
like moving around the chicken nuggets on the dirty ass floor and like eating it and shit.
Someone else.
That's why you should.
They're actual real nuggets.
Yeah, just nugs from your dog.
No, but I made one disappear. He's like,
dingleberries.
Where'd it go? He's like, Dad, did you just do magic? I was like, I just did do magic. And he's looking around for it, but it's like in the back of my hand. So I just put it back on the table. He was like, whoa, magic.
Dude.
Magic kit?
Yeah, the magic kit. I bought you magic kit. The date, what was it? No, it was Chris Angel magic kit. I forget, one Christmas or something.
Yeah.
I got you that. It was in
I think it's still hidden in the apartment.
In the apartment somewhere. It might be in the closet still, but I was like, oh, you should have taken that. But magic, my grandfather used to do this magic trick with a toothpick when we were kids, and it was so cool. I'll show you how to do it, and it'll blow your kid's mind. It's like so stupid, but it's like cool as hell. And like he can like,
well, I know the one.
Break it, you break it and break it, and then like you open up the handkerchief and it's not broken. You're like, what? I broke it. I physically broke it. How's it not broken? Like best magic trick ever. But like for a little kid, that would be cool. Like I've just thought about that now. Probably.
You can do it and blow his mind, because that's the thing, is like you got to have your thing. Otherwise, you're just weird Uncle Eric.
I think I'll be that either
now
way.
you're just weird Uncle Eric with a magic trick.
Yeah, exactly. You might as well be like cool dad with like who's also a magician or knows magic or something. Just give you the special tool. Or we can both do it.
Yeah.
Or you try it.
Just this at the same time. Yeah. Well, with that, I guess we're out of time, huh?
Yeah.
Magic tricks.
Shit in your pants.
A lot of shit stories, man.
You ever shit your pants as an adult? I mean, we're talking shit about your kid this whole podcast.
I think of like when I was like sick at home, not like out in public, not in the field, not like in a situation where I'm like in a real shitty situation. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh man, like I've been worried about that with like our work uniform in the summer. We have like white shorts. I'm like, if I shit myself now, I'm fucked, right? Like there's a whole bunch of like scenarios and like, but that is kind of something funny that I've like thought about more now having a kid, where like the confidence in a fart when your stomach's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like that's really arrogant to just let that go. Cause like I've seen it fail numerous times with my kid. Like he doesn't know how to gauge that yet. Where I'm like, today I was like, if you feel like you have to fart, go poop. Go poop. It's going to be poop. I'm just guaranteeing it. It's going to be poop.
So you should also tell yourself as an adult if you feel like you're going to.
But I haven't had that problem. I feel like I'm pretty good at gauging it. But, you know, who knows? I might be on the other end of the peak in the bell curve and start shitting myself. I mean, you do that at some point in time as an adult, the older you get.
Yeah. I have a couple of those experiences.
I just shit myself right now.
I shit my pants on a FaceTime call with my parents for a holiday one time. I was drinking. And
never fart on a motorcycle.
Never fart on a motorcycle. Our producer just said never fart on a motorcycle. God, I mean, at least you're already like on something to get you away from wherever you were.
Just rumbles right out of you.
Yeah. I fucking shit my pants on a FaceTime call with my parents and my godfather one time. Just laughing, farted, not a fart.
I gotta go.
Fucking shit through my pants and on the couch.
That's hilarious.
And then
sitting in brown couches.
And then one time back, my brother was in college. It was at like some like house party, and was drinking, and just like there was like this girl there too that I was like like, I was like, oh man, she's over here and stuff. And I like farted and shit my pants. And that's like, and fucking like in the bathroom, like trying to clean my fucking
You can't clean that out.
Yeah, dude, it was horrible. It was such embarrassing.
You gotta go home. I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
I gotta piss.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up.
All right. That's it.
Before I piss my pants, that's a new story.
Don't piss or shit your pants.
Make sure you listen to your body. Don't hold your bladder. Kids out there.
Don't eat shit off the ground and be clean.
Don't touch stuff in
keep
your mouth.
Germs. Yeah.
I'm Tony Klein at Tony Klein Comedian on Instagram and at my website. Thanks for watching. I have to say that I just usually plug shit and never say thank you. But Eric, you're better at that kind of stuff.
Thank you for watching. You can find me on Instagram at Eric Rustler. You can also find this podcast on Instagram under The Eric and Tony Show, on TikTok under The Eric and Tony Show, and on YouTube on The Eric and Tony Show, and on Spotify on The Eric and Tony Show. Every Monday, we release the full episode, the video version on YouTube, and the full audio version on Spotify every Monday. Throughout the week, we put 60-second clips of this bullshitting that we do every week throughout the week. So you can kind of get little cliff notes of what we're talking about, what we're doing. And if you want to support the show, you can go to the ericandtonyshow.com and purchase yourself a little beer mug so you can sit and drink a beer with us while we're bullshitting and tell yourself, why am I watching this? And why are these guys so fucking stupid? And we have like t-shirts and stuff on there too. So if you can show your support that way. Again, thank you to Petty Cash Studios and our producer, Mark, for always being so gracious and having us here. And thanks again for watching us, guys. And we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.